Hey there, Chris Bassett here, and I'm playing Borderlands 4. I'm working on the Rafa Hot Slugger build. Check it out, boys. Alrighty, fellas, here we are over at the shooting range with the test dummies. Take a look at this. Alright, so watch the numbers above the health. I'm getting not only corrosive damage and fire damage and kinetic damage. And you're like, how does the Hot Slugger have all those elements on one gun? One gun. All right, so we'll talk about the gear real fast. I'm running the Hot Slugger, obviously. That can be dropped from Callus, which is just north of here from Craven's Nook. I got a video on the channel of how to get that drop, so check that out. But that's where you get the Hot Slugger. So go pick that gun up. And because we're running the Hot Slugger, there's certain skills in Rafa's tree that really benefit from the one bullet magazine. So down here on the tree, if we're looking at the red tree, the Peacebreaker cannons, you've got this skill here, which is vitriol. So the first shot fired from Rafa's fully loaded magazine deals bonus corrosive damage. So with the Hot Slugger, you're always going to be getting that bonus damage. There's another benefit to the blue tree, the lance right here, first impression, which with the first shot from a fully loaded magazine deals increased damage. So you can get that up to plus 50 if you spec into that. But I'm going to show you why you don't need to do that on the other tree. Keep in mind, both of these also benefit from multiple magazines. So you've got a gun that has 50 bullets in the magazine. But as long as you use your Bullet Buddy Deluxe, so you press the LB to bring out your Bullet Buddy in this tree, and then again, it says right there, it says pressing LB while Peacebreaker cannons are active causes Rafa shots to consume no ammo. So for 8 seconds, you have infinite ammo. If you do this when your magazine is full, for those 8 seconds, you'll be taking, and your magazine's full, you'll be taking advantage of both those fully loaded magazine bonuses. So just keep that in mind. You don't necessarily need to have a one bullet magazine, but that's the build I'm going with because I like the feel of the Hot Slugger. It's very snappy, so if you aim in really quick, you can get a lot of aim assist and it'll snap to headshots. So the gameplay is really fun with it. But okay, so for the skill tree, right, I like running the Peacebreaker cannons. It seems like it provides some survivability and some big damage. You can really crank up the damage on this thing. So, out of the first skill set here, your gun damage, 5 out of 5 gun damage, extra gun damage, more killing. Basically, boom, shoot dead. Your shield buryist. So this is nice. This is a passive overdrive skill, so it's only active when your overdrive is active, but the idea here is to make sure your overdrive, as long as there's enemies on the field, you'll have your overdrive up. So this is a really good mobbing setup. It also does fairly well with bossing, and I'll show both sides of that. But you have 5 out of 5 on that because you'll be getting your shield back real quick. Werga. So whenever you critically hit an enemy with your gun, action skill duration is restored. So it's not a kill. It's not a critical kill. It's just a critical hit. That can activate every 4 seconds. So we want our action skill to be up as often as possible, or as long as possible. So have that activated. Now, like I said, the first augment can be either or what you're going for. Right now, I don't need infinite bullets, but early game, the infinite bullets can really make a difference. If you're playing, say you're like level 10 or 5 or 10, 15, and you're struggling with ammo, this really helps. Swap this on. You have infinite bullets during that time that your action skill's up, as long as you're spamming. So it only lasts 8 seconds if you hit it twice. So you got to make sure you keep up on it. But that can really crank up your DPS for boss fights or elites or whatever. But towards the end game, this is actually better because you have other methods to extend your duration. So you swap over to this when you start getting a build kind of squared away. And you'll be doing extra critical hit chance, crit damage, and so this really shines. On the next level, you could go. I'm going to go skill damage just because I have enough survivability, right, with the setup that I've got with the shield. And then on my class mod, I have some health regen from the green tree down here. So we've got a little bit of health regeneration, and then we've got beefy shields. So I've already got, and then some life steal. So I've got some survivability built into the class as it is. So we don't really need the damage reduction. So instead, I'm going to take damage increase. More damage is better. More damage is gooder. So we're going 3 out of 3 on skill damage. And then when your shields are full, you're dealing up to a 30% damage increase. So that's your gun. That's everything. That's your Peacebreaker cannons. That is your gun. That's your grenades. That's everything. So we've got that built out. And now since we're using Hot Slugger, we're going to Vitriol 5 out of 5. So we're doing that bonus corrosive damage. Let's take a look down the right side tree first. So my overdrive duration is up to 70%. Longer. As long as your main damage and your survivability is going to come when you're inside of your overdrive skill. So if it drops and you have to wait for a cooldown, you're going to be struggling. But with it up, you're basically a god, like honestly. So we're going to have our overdrive duration as long as possible. And then Tamario, that works really nice. If you're using a multi-bullet magazine weapon, so you got 12, 30 bullets, and you're going to notice this because it says gun handling negative and gun damage positive. So your gun handling is going to be like when you ADS, like how much bullet spread there is. It's going to be really wonky when you try to aim. You're going to notice the recoil really bad. But since we're using a 1 bullet magazine weapon, this is not even noticeable. Like honestly, you won't even notice this. But Tamario, when overdrive is active, you gain increased gun damage and decreased gun handling for each stack, and you gain a stack for every second overdrive is active. Then you lose all the stacks when overdrive ends. So you get up to 70%, 50%, and then I get a 70% with the class mod. So if you had a class mod with 9, so plus 4, and then you had it maxed out, so you had plus 90, that's huge. Okay, so now go down here to Soltado. Kill skill. Whenever you kill an enemy, you double all your overdrive bonuses for 8 seconds. This is pretty ridiculous, especially if you put a class mod point into this. And then you get one from your class mod. So you have one, so it's 2 out of 1. So now we're quadrupling all of our bonuses. And if you don't believe me, check this out. Okay, so we're gonna use our ability, and then we're gonna go into the inventory, and right there now it says 80. Remember how we were at 40? We were at 40%. Now we've doubled it to 80%. We were at 70. Now watch when I get a kill. Okay, we got a kill. Now check it out. Our shield delay and recharge is up to 160%, and our overdrive duration is 140. So we've quadrupled between activating our skill and then killing an enemy. We've now quadrupled our duration and so we're getting crazy survivability. Now, I'm not sure why it doesn't show up as is on like regular stuff, how it doesn't show up on anything else. But it definitely lets you know on here. So if you press start, you go to your player stats, and you can see your stats in here, and you can see that our damage dealt is now plus 240%. After we've gotten a kill, after we've gotten, that's how much damage we're cranking out. And you can look at your gun damage is 42, melee, skill damage, action skill damage. Our corrosive damage reduction, that's on our shield. But anyway, so you can see the damage dealt is now ridiculous. If you look in the, in this lower corner by our health bar, it shows all the buffs activating. So that's another way to track what skills are what. You can see which of each little icons are up. And so you can see what's being activated if you take notice by your health and shields in the left-hand corner. Okay, so we've got that side covered. That's going to be huge to have that plus the class mod. All right, over on the left side, as you come down the tree, you have to pick this up. So it's increased damage from indirect projectiles. So that includes action skill weapons, thrown guns, and projectiles not fired from your gun. So that includes your Peacebreaker cannons. You'll get extra bonus from that. That's also your grenades. And I think it's your Hot Slugger too. Because what I don't understand is if you look at this next one, Errant Spark, which says all indirect projectiles deal bonus incendiary damage. Bonus incendiary damage plus 40%. Our Hot Slugger is getting bonus damage. I gotta let's turn this off for a second. And I'll show you when I shoot the Hot Slugger with that perk 5 out of 5, you can see the fire numbers pop up. So I don't know if this is intentional or if this is a bug, but instead of going into the blue tree to get plus 50 damage, and because you got to spend 15 points to get down to the blue tree, you got to buy reload speed, ammo, or fire rate, which on the Hot Sluggers, whatever. You already have like a half a second reload, so 20% of that is like fraction of a second. When you reload your gun, you're getting action skill cooldown rate, so this only benefits you when your action skill is not up, but it would. And then finally, you can get down to here. So you got to spend 15 points to get 50 gun damage. Or you put 5 points right here and you get plus 40. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because look, when you shoot the dummy, watch the numbers above the head. It's showing white text, green text, and orange text, which would be kinetic damage is white, corrosive damage is green, and incendiary damage is orange. See the orange? So we're getting fire damage. Maybe it helps if I stand back a ways. There you go. Okay, so look right above the health bar. There, 50,000 incendiary damage to that guy. 50,000. Okay, whatever, pal. All right, so we're working our way down the tree. You got your warfare. And then you've got your errant spark. So this is also going to be, bonus Peacebreaker cannon damage, bonus grenade, and bonus Hot Slugger, apparently. I'm going to put 1 point into lifesteal. That's enough. You get 10%. So all your indirect projectiles gain lifesteal. I would assume this is your Peacebreaker cannons, your gun, your grenades, everything. And then 1 point into a lateral planking. So we're going to swap over to double auto shot. We've got the critical hit chance from this, and down here you replaced with shotgun that deal increased damage and have a pellet count. Additionally, Rafa's turrets gain the chance to ricochet off targets. Ricochets deal reduced damage, but critical hits always ricochet. So we have good critical hit chance, and now we're ricocheting. So you're mobbing. You're just killing everything on the screen. And this also has indirect projectiles gain a chance to ricochet. So, this. I think this is a god tier setup for even if you don't have like the points into here and here, you still are crushing it. But we're gonna up it. You're gonna make it even more crazy by putting on a couple class mods. So if we inspect the Hot Slugger, I've farmed quite a few of these, and I was hoping there would be some variance. Like I was really hoping I could get like at least secondary stats, like a higher critical hit damage. It would just make it even crazier if you could get like critical hit damage plus 100 or something. But it seems like it's a static roll for everything. So you've got on kill deals 30% damage for 10 seconds. So you get up to plus 90% damage. Critical hits ricochet, and then 20% critical hit. Critical damage, excuse me. So it rolls pretty static, but I was hoping it would. Okay, so for the rest of the gear, I'm using a pacemaker, which drops from Horus. I'll show a clip here. All right, here we are over at Horus, right here on the map. I think he's going to be pretty early on in the story. He's like the second boss, but he's going to drop that pacemaker. So let's check it out. Pretty easy fight. I'm cheating with my songbird. Okay. But hey, did we get it first try? Wow, double drop, boys. Check it out. Clover and slideshow. Okay. Well, we'll take both of them. Pacemaker is just my survivability thing. You could swap in other things, other rev kits that are a little better, like the bypass. You know, you can use 3 charges, and you could do things where it has like reduced action skill cooldown. So when you do fall out of Peacemaker cannons, it's easier to get back. But this is just kind of like my oh shit button when I'm really low in health. I farmed at Horus, I don't know, 2 hours maybe to get this particular tank. So when I am really low in health, I use my health kit, and then it reduces damage taken by 50% until I'm better. It also passively heals me, so I don't need to, micromanage my health as much. The grenade, swarm. So there's 2 ordinances that I like to use. I like to use the grenades for mobbing, and then obviously the crit knife for boss damage. Crit knife with the damage amp payload and the penetrator augment is just ridiculous. It's insane. But let's talk about the swarm real fast. When you're mobbing, I picked this up from Pointy Legs. I'll show that right here on the map. All right, and then you want to get yourself a homing grenade. Come over to the drill site for Sydney Pointy Legs. If it's your first time doing it, it'll just show the white drill site, but it's right here on the map. So let's get him. All right, so the only bad thing about Sydney Pointy Legs is it takes, you got to go through a few waves before he shows up. But there he is. Ah! Okay, he's dead. What'd he give me? Not a lot of pinata. And the grenade's really good because it automatically homes in on nearby enemies. So as you're running, you're shooting, you just chuck them. Just chuck them in the air. There's 3 of them. And then it'll just start killing things. It does work on the purple health bar enemies pretty well that have the crystals on their backs or whatever. And since you need to, specifically target the crystals to shoot to, so you can damage the health bar. If you're bad at accuracy or you have potatoes for thumbs like me, just throw some grenades at it, and the AoE explosion damage will take the crystals off. Now, as for the crit knife, this doesn't have a dedicated drop. You just got to get lucky. I think I got. I've been playing for like 50 hours. I've gotten 3. I had 1 at like level 20, and then 2 back to back. So you tell me what's going on. But at level 50, I got 2 of them back to back, like 1 boss drop and then another boss drop. So I wouldn't particularly try to farm this. I would farm like the stuff you can, like all the legendary stuff, where you're gonna get it from a boss, and just hope this drops. But this does crazy damage, and I'll explain why here in a second. So the next one, your class mod's pretty big. You're going to need the Devastating Dancer. That way we get the +1 into the Soltado, which actually quadruples all your skills. And then, so this will be the 2 big things. You're only ever going to get 1 is the maximum that can get from the class mod. +1, excuse me. But you can get up to +4 or 5. I think you can get +5. So that would be God Roll, where you get +5 into Temerario. And then you're doing +100% gun damage. But this drops from Idolator Soul, and I'll show a clip here. All right, and here we are at Idolator Soul for the class mod. You can see he's inside his fortress, but you can fast travel. Use the fast travel station and then run to the back of the fortress, but it's just down here on the map. You'll encounter this guy during the story. So once you're inside and at the location, we're going to go ahead and fight him. So I'm going to cheese him. I have sticky grenades. I got a video on the channel shows you how to beat this guy. Did he freeze? Okay, we broke the game, boys. All right. But just go ahead and watch that other video on the channel. I show you how to come down here and blast him with sticky grenades. Double reload. It'll kill him through his immune phases. Farm that class item really quick. All right, let's get to the next one. I've also got some videos on the channel that show how to cheese him with the sticky grenade submachine gun, so check that out. It shows you how to, bypass all the immunity phases and just basically one-shot him. Now, shield, it's up for debate. I like the super soldier just because it gives you movement speed and regenerates 1 ammo when full. I've fought Vile Lictor multiple times for 5 or 6 hours because I wanted Vagabond, when energy shields are full, grants 28% movement speed. So now both of the power play and the Vagabond stack. So I have plus 53% movement speed when my energy's full. I fly around the map, and so that's pretty fun. As for the ammo regeneration, if you shoot slow enough, you don't ever have to reload. See, it regenerates 1 ammo and every second or so. So that basically cuts down your reloads. So I really like the super soldier shield for that. Another really good option would be the fireworks, because when you kill an enemy, the death of the enemy, their missiles spawn out of their head and then target other enemies nearby. So this is a great mobbing shield. This drops from Vile Lictor. I'll show that. All right, here we are at Vile Lictor. You want the super soldier shield. I'm gonna put right there. We're in his fortress, so you can fast travel over here, but only if you go through the level station. So it's up here in the Emerald Foundry. You get through to the story mission, and you'll be able to fight him. Gonna buy it. Wait for the launch pad. So the thing that's slow about him is he's got a couple phases. You can shoot him in the face, but you're waiting. So I'm using the Songbird glitch. And I've got a video on the channel that shows how to do that, so if you want to check that out, glitch this, get this boss done as fast as possible. That way you can get yourself a super fast soldier shield. And he Haktua, he's gonna spit his loot everywhere. Let's see what we get, boys. Something good. Give it to me, Jimmy. Hey, what do we get? First try. Wow, getting lucky today. Oh, I got. All right, let's go to the next one. And then the fireworks drops from Splash Zone, and I'll show that. All right, here we are over at Splash Zone, everyone's favorite boss. If you don't know where he's at, he's like the first tutorial boss, just right down here over to the right. You're gonna have to get over here. He's my favorite guy to farm. He's dropped so many good loots for me. Sorry, pal. Give me anything good this time. No, you're fired. All right, and last for the enhancement. These don't have any dedicated drops. They're really hard to get. So I'm wearing a blue just because it has decent rolls. Since the Hot Slugger is a Jacobs shotgun, what you're looking... obviously the God roll would have a blind box, the legendary, with bounce pass, guns with Jacobs licensed parts, increased number of possible ricochets by 1. That works really great for mobbing, because if you hit a guy in the head, it ricochets onto 2 more guys. So you kill like 3 with 1 shot if you get those ricochets. And then for bossing, you want the Sequencer, which is guns with Jacobs licensed parts, grant consecutive critical hits, stacking 5% bonus damage for a maximum of 8 stacks. What this does is when you have a crit knife, your crit knife is automatic critical hits for 5 seconds. So you can what you do is you hit the boss with a crit knife, and then you spam your gun, and you're doing, multiplicative damage for 8 stacks. And the stacks do not go away until you hit a non-critical hit. So if you're farming bosses, you throw the knife, you shoot the guns, and then your stacks persist. See how it says +8 by my health bar? That's the icon. I have 8 stacks, and they don't go away until you miss a shot. Once you miss a shot, then they go away. But as long as you're hitting your 3... See, I built 3 stacks instantly because not only did I crit with indirect or kinetic, but I also critted with corrosion and fire. So I got 3 stacks instantly from 1 shot. 6. So that's pretty bananas there. So, on these, they don't drop from anywhere. You just got to get lucky. So this would be the last thing you're farming. I'd farm your other dedicated drops that you know where they come from before you hope for this. But it's fingers crossed, right? I mean, some of the good rolls you're looking for would be gun critical hit damage, shotgun damage. I had one that had like ADS speed, which made the gun really snappy, and that was kind of fun. You're looking for gun damage, critical hit chance. What else is there? But anyway, they're really hard to get. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, the last thing to do is once you've got a really good setup, then you can start putting on your perks, or what are these called? Your augments, for your parts. And I recommend 3 out of 3 Deadeye. Gun accuracy is good, but what you're really going for is your gun critical hit damage, and then critical hits grant 15% critical damage per stack for for a maximum of 5 stacks for 10 seconds. So that's crazy. You throw the knife, boom, 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 and you're capped out on damage. That's why you can melt bosses. And then I'm going for high caliber because the Hot Slugger is a slug gun. There's projectile travel time. You can see it, how it's got travel time. So in order to speed that up, I want it to be more like hit scan, which it's not still. But we're speeding up the projectiles. And then the gun damage isn't additive, it's multiplicative. So that's huge. So that's why I'm running these 2. There's some other like decent rolls you can throw on that, which would be like trick shot. I think you do extra gun damage with that one. But I'm running these 2. And, if you don't know how to do this, you have to hit level 30. Or not 30, excuse me. You have to beat the campaign, and then you talk to Zane. So you beat the story missions, get all the way through, and then Zane will show you how to add on these elements. And I'll show that right here. All right, and just real quick, we were talking about firmware. So here in my bank, you can see I've got lots of items that I've been storing. And Real Big Fist, Deadeye, God Killer. These are all pieces of firmware that can drop on equipment. And once you have access to the machine, the firmware machine, you can then transfer the firmware from one piece to another to give you like a build, essentially. So you take the junk piece, you put it in here, you take the piece that you want, like your armor, your grenade, put it in there. The only like caveat to that is like you can only transfer from a grenade to a grenade or a shield to a shield, and it has to be those lower 5 pieces of equipment on your gear. So you need these 2 and then 3. So you can only have a maximum of 3 and 2. So that's how you choose kind of what you want as a build. All right, let's talk about specializations. I went down both sharpshooter and runner to get to Daredevil. Daredevil's where you want to be at. You get increased action skill rate cooldown, and then you can also start actively when you use a rev kit. You get action skill cooldown. What you're looking to get down to is Honed Mine and I Am a Gun, because now action skill damage benefits from gun damage, and you have critical hit damage. This just makes your cannons even that much more powerful than they already are. Going down runner, you increase your movement speed, which is huge. I wanted to get to bullet train as fast as possible because the faster you move, the more gun damage you do. And also you can hip fire while sprinting. I noticed when I was sprinting and then trying to like hip fire, it was really like chunky, so it was annoying me. Sharpshooter, this second passive here in the zone is really nice because with the super soldier, you're regaining ammunition, so you don't actually technically have to reload if you space your shots out. So you can aim, and then you're gaining bonuses to gun damage and critical hit damage the longer you aim down sight. So that's huge. So I'd recommend 10 into sharpshooter, 10 into runner, and then daredevil all the way down. Some other things, since we do have this now bullet train where the faster you move, you may want to look at some other skills, moving some other skills around. Potentially, you could put stuff into Devil May Care, which gives you movement speed, and that has the potential to double or quadruple. You'd be flying. And so I noticed when I put it into this, it was so jarring because you're moving so fast, it's hard to control your character. So you can potentially swap those 5 points for that 5 points. And then it's worth mentioning over on the green tree, you can also, throw some movement speed in. But I just thought, this much movement speed you're moving faster than your speeder bike. So it's a little ridiculous. All right, but yeah, boys. Hopefully this was helpful. Try it out, check it out, see if you like the build. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And put any comments, questions down below. Appreciate you for watching, and see you in the next one. Later.